Rain slashed across the bus shelter like sheets of torn glass, and the last bus had already come and gone. Anna Mason should have kept walking. Instead, she stopped in front of the bench where a man sat hunched over a scuffed duffel, his jacket soaked through and his hands shaking like he was holding back an earthquake. "You'll freeze out here," Anna said. "The schedule's wrong. Nothing till morning." He looked up slowly. Stormlight made his eyes pale and tired. "I'll manage," he said, but his voice didn't believe itself. "Not like that you won't," Anna said. "I'm 2 blocks away. Dryer. Soup. You can leave once you're warm." He hesitated. "You don't know me." "I'm choosing to anyway," Anna said. "Come on." They walked past the shuttered bakery, past the boarded hardware store, past the glowing laundromat where machines beat out a hollow drumline. Her building was old brick with a stubborn front door and stairs that always complained, but it was dry, and that mattered. Inside, she handed him a towel and her brother's old sweatshirt. While he changed, she warmed tomato soup and set water for tea. He came back smelling like cheap soap and rain, the sweatshirt hanging loose on his shoulders. He looked younger and more human. "Sit," Anna said. "I'll find a second spoon." He cupped the bowl like a small campfire. "I'm Daniel," he said. "Anna," she said. "Eat first. Questions later." They ate. The storm drummed. The radiator hissed like a tire dragon. When the bowls were empty, she slid him a blanket and pointed to the couch. "You can sleep here tonight," Anna said. "Non-negotiable." "I can pay you back," Daniel said. "Try by not catching pneumonia," Anna said. For a while, neither spoke. Then he said, "Thank you for trusting me when I haven't earned it." "Everyone starts somewhere," Anna said. "Tonight you start warm." Morning peeled the night off the city. Anna made toast and coffee. Daniel folded the blanket like a man who wanted to leave a room better than he found it. Over breakfast, he offered the shorter version of a long story. "I worked in risk," Daniel said. "Numbers are honest if you let them be. Someone didn't. I objected. I left before they could make me the problem." "Which means they already did," Anna said. "Pretty much," Daniel said. "I've got enough for a couple weeks if I stretch it. After that, we'll see." "Library's hiring for the tech help desk," Anna said. "You'll spend your days unlocking accounts and unjamming printers and saving people's sanity." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "You say that like you've been saved." "I've killed that copier twice," Anna said. "Resurrection's a holy act." He laughed. It hurt his ribs, and he did it anyway. He left with a clean shirt, a bus map, and her number in case you need to return the sweatshirt, she said, pretending casual. She watched the door close and told herself to breathe. Anna returned to her job at a small law office where she drafted deeds, proofed wills, and rescued commas. She liked being good at something. She did not like how small her life sometimes felt. A notebook called Book Ideas lived on a shelf like a houseplant she never watered. At 4 that afternoon, a text arrived. "Got the library job. Part-time for now. Your sweatshirt celebrated by snagging on a door. I freed it. Thank you. Keep it alive," she replied. "And well done." Days found a rhythm. Daniel became a fixture at the help desk, coaxing old laptops to try again and air-printing miracles for people who thought the cloud was a rumor. He started showing up at Anna's in the evenings with grocery bags and thanks. He fixed a drip of faucet. He replaced a fraying lamp cord. He cooked pasta that tasted like someone remembered how to be kind. They walked at night when the river threw back the bridge lights, talking about nothing until it meant everything. Anna learned he loved jazz and the quiet of early mornings. Daniel learned she edited menus for fun, hoarded library receipts like souvenirs, and still wrote a paragraph every Sunday in a notebook she claimed didn't matter. "Why don't you write more?" Daniel asked one night. "Because wanting something and wanting to fail at it feel too close," Anna said. "Or because wanting something and wanting to risk for it are the same," Daniel said. The first sign of trouble was a black sedan idling across from the library, windows tinted enough to turn the driver into a silhouette. Daniel pretended not to notice. The second sign was the same sedan 2 days later, the driver wearing sunglasses under a gray sky. The third sign was a business card slipped under Anna's door with no name, only a phone number and the word talk. Do you know who that is? Anna asked. I know who they work for, Daniel said, and I know I don't want to call. Then we pick someone else to call, Anna said. Someone whose job is to care about the truth. Daniel stared at his hands. An investigative newsroom owes me nothing. They owe the story everything, Anna said. If you're right, they'll prove it. If you're wrong, they'll protect people you could hurt by being wrong. He emailed River City Ledger. An editor wrote back within hours, asking for a time and a room with a door. They met at noon in a library conference room that smelled like carpet cleaner and pencils. The reporter, Ella Vaughn, had a voice that didn't waste words. I verify, Ella said. I ask rude questions until the answers behave. If you lie to me, I'll find out. If you tell me the truth, I'll protect your rights and your context. Do we have a deal? We do, Daniel said. He gave her names and dates, and models massaged into obedience. He slid over a slim black notebook of contemporaneous notes. Make a copy, he said. If this disappears, I want it to exist in 2 places. Ella went to the copier herself. When she returned, she asked one more question. Do you feel unsafe? I didn't until the sedan kept being a coincidence, Daniel said. Then you don't go places alone for a bit, Ella said. Ms. Mason, are you willing to be his shadow? Yes, Anna said, before fear could talk her out of it. Ella looped in the Ledger's lawyer and a contact at the Attorney General's office. The work became real. Ella's team matched Daniel's notes to filings and emails obtained by subpoena. They traced shell companies to P.O. boxes and back to boardrooms. They drew a picture that didn't care about slogans. A week later, 2 men followed Daniel from the bus stop. They didn't take his wallet. They suggested he stop believing in himself. He didn't fight. He cataloged details and went home with a blooming bruise and a quiet that frightened Anna more than the bruise. Sheriff Dana Pike took the report without treating Daniel like a problem. We'll increase patrols, she said. Document everything. If a name shows up, I want it underlined. When the Ledger finally finished its piece, it wasn't flashy. It was precise. It laid out the math that had been bent and the people whose lives would have been bent with it. It named a firm that insisted its models were conservative. It named the ex-employee who refused to sign an attestation and now worked at a library help desk. The firm threatened to sue. The Ledger's lawyer invited them to read the footnotes. The Attorney General opened a civil action and asked the judge to hold the next acquisition until the numbers told the truth. The sedan disappeared for a while. In its place came comments online and letters with expensive letterhead predicting regret. Priya, Anna's neighbor, posted a sticky note over one letter that said, "If you don't scare a bully, you're not finished." Daniel's hours increased. Old men brought him tins of cookies to bribe their printers back to life. A teenager shadowed him and learned that an unplugged cable is not a moral failing. Anna began waking early to write while the city yawned. She didn't write about the case. She wrote about a bench and a storm and the way small bravery changes the temperature of a room. "Submit it," Daniel said when she read him a page. "To who?" Anna asked. "To the person you were when you stopped," Daniel said. "Then to anyone else who will read." Settlement news came on a Thursday. A fund for neighborhoods most at risk because of the firm's games, audits of recent deals, and an ethics review that sounded like teeth. The AG held a press conference in a gym that smelled like varnish and orange slices. Ella stood in back and didn't smile. Daniel stood beside Anna and pretended his hands weren't shaking. Afterward, a woman in a Navy suit approached. "Mr. Carter? I'm Ruth Ortega," she said. "We're launching a community resiliency initiative. Microgrants, weatherization, safe heat programs, emergency loans. We need someone who speaks both math and human." Interested, Daniel blinked. "Very," he said. He started in a borrowed office with plants he promised not to kill. He built applications that didn't humiliate applicants. He hired 2 coordinators from the neighborhoods they aimed to serve. He named the weekly workshop Fix the Leaks. He taught that a sealed window can be the difference between a bill and a crisis. Anna visited with takeout and drafts. "How does it feel?" she asked. "Like moving furniture out of a burning house," he said. "But the fire's smaller when we work together." "Then we keep moving," Anna said. A fresh storm slammed the river that winter. The daycare near the culvert sat directly in the river's bad habit. When water climbed the stairs, Sheriff Pike called Daniel at 2 a.m. "We need hands," she said. Daniel already had his boots on. Anna made coffee to go and texted Priya and half the block. Under headlamps, they stacked sandbags and plywood. Daniel pointed to the place water would cheat. "Here," he said, "angle the board. Let's choose the street, not the door." It held. At dawn, the kids marched into a room that smelled slightly of wet cardboard and very much of relief. Tasha, the daycare director, hugged Daniel and then hugged Anna longer. "You two keep choosing to show up," Tasha said. "That's a habit I can live with." The initiative grew tired and then grew strong. They replaced 11 ancient furnaces and taught 90 households how to weather strip a winter out of their living rooms. The Ledger won an award and used the money to hire a second Ella. The firm replaced half its board and hired a public apology. Daniel received a letter in a tidy hand offering a consulting role, discreet, well-compensated, mutually beneficial. He took the letter to Anna's kitchen, read it once, and fed it to the recycling bin. "Goodbye, Siren," he said. "Hello. Honest work," Anna said. Spring laid a clean green over everything. The bakery pushed tables outside. The library added a shelf of neighborhood writers. Anna's essay about the storm night ran in a small magazine and royally embarrassed her mother in the best possible way. People stopped Anna at the market to say, "That line about the door? My grandmother said the same thing." On an evening in June, the Attorney General returned to announce a permanent fund to maintain the work. "This exists because stubborn people refused to let numbers lie," she said. "And because one person with a notebook met one person who said yes." The board named it the Mason Ortega Fund with a plaque small enough not to trip over. Anna cried. Daniel pretended not to. Ella took notes no one would ever read because that's what she did. After the speeches, they walked along the river. The water was honest, carrying light the way it always had. "Do you ever think about the bus stop?" Daniel asked. "Every time it rains," Anna said. "I still wonder what would have happened if I kept walking." "I would have survived," Daniel said. "But I don't know if I would have remembered who I wanted to be." "You would have," Anna said. "But I'm glad I didn't make you prove it alone." He squeezed her hand. "I'm glad to." They bought a used piano from a church sale, wheeled it up the terrifying stairs with half the block, and wedged it against the only wall that agreed. On Sunday nights, Daniel played while Anna wrote at the table, and neighbors leaned in the doorway pretending to borrow sugar. One night, Anna closed her notebook and said, "I want to try a longer story." "Then we make time," Daniel said. "I'll take garbage duty forever." "Deal," Anna said. "And I'll learn to cook something besides soup and pasta." "You already know how to make a life," Daniel said. "Recipes are optional. Summer burned into fall. Trust turned into routines and choices, and the gentle way people say each other's names when they mean, "I'm here." The sedan never returned. The mailbox filled with utility receipts, stamped paid, and postcard from families who stayed warm. On a cold night when the air snapped and the streetlights looked like they were holding their breath, Anna found an old fear trying to make itself at home. "What if it all goes away?" she asked. "What?" Daniel said. "The work. The writing." "You," she said. "What if I wake up and it's back to the bench and the storm and the feeling that I don't know how to live a life I want?" Daniel took her hands. "Then we do what we did the first night," he said. "We choose anyway. We trust anyway. We make soup." She laughed, then cried, then laughed again. "I like our kind of wisdom," she said. "It's affordable," he said. They hosted a neighborhood night at the community center with card tables and chili. Tasha taught a class called Disaster is a Process, Not a Personality. Mr. Alvarez from the barber shop gave free haircuts to anyone who promised to bring 2 bags of trash from the riverbank next Saturday. Priya made a spreadsheet that turned into a party. Ella stood at the back wall, smiling with her eyes. "Look at this," Daniel said, sweeping his hand toward the room. "I am," Anna said. "I can't stop." Later they walked home under a sky clean enough to hear. Daniel unlocked the door and let the night settle around the piano like a shawl. Anna put water on and pulled 2 mugs from the cabinet. "Do you think we're boring?" Anna asked, half teasing. "I think boring is a word people use before they learn to love steady," Daniel said. She handed him tea. "Steady sounds like a miracle." "It was," he said. "It is." They sat on the floor with their backs against the couch, the kind of tired that feels like the opposite of defeat. Anna leaned her head on his shoulder. Daniel leaned his cheek against her hair. If you're enjoying this story, please like this video and subscribe for more. Anna would tell her audience at the midpoint, and it would be true in a small way. Support keeps stories moving. In real life, she just whispered, "Thank you for knocking." "I didn't knock," Daniel said. "You found me." "Then thank you for letting me," Anna said. Winter returned with polite menace. The initiative replaced roofs, swapped out space heaters for safer heat, and proved that grants on time matter more than speeches too late. The Ledger published a follow-up that cared about outcomes more than victory laps. The firm tried to rebrand. The city remembered. Anna's longer story found a home online. Comments were kind in a way that felt like a conversation. She began meeting with a small group of writers at the library on Tuesdays, all of them soft-voiced and fierce. On a night near the anniversary of the storm, Daniel placed a small wrapped box on the kitchen table. "It's not jewelry," he said. "Don't panic." She opened it. Inside lay a brass key on a ribbon. The tag said, "Spare desk drawer for the work." "It's for your new desk," Daniel said. "Not the one we bought. The one we keep making space for." Anna turned the key over in her hand. "I thought you were going to say it was for a house." "It is," he said. "It's for the house we build everywhere we go, where we keep what matters safe." She tied the ribbon around her wrist. "Then come help me use it," she said. They went to the desk. She unlocked the drawer, placed her notebook inside, and closed it like a promise. Daniel opened the piano and played something warm enough to thaw a week. A storm moved in before sunrise. Anna woke to the sound of it and the memory of a bench. She stood at the window and watched the street turn to river glass. Daniel came up behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist. "What are you thinking?" he asked. "That I'm glad I didn't keep walking," she said. "Me too," he said. She turned, kissed him like a decision, and then grinned. "Soup." "Sacrament," he said. They made breakfast while the storm hit its stride. The kettle sang. The radiator hissed. The city kept breathing because people had learned how together works. Thank you for listening to this story. If it moved you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes a single yes can change everything. New uplifting stories every day on our channel.